Hey, here's a teaching moment for everybody on the planet, okay? If you go back to one of my videos that I made the other day, you'll hear me talk about past, present, future. And I talked about the analogy, if you will, of a story that I'm telling about somebody who's rappelling down the side of El Capitan, which is a sheer up and down vertical cliff in Yosemite National Park, one of the most beautiful places to experience, right? And I talked about the anchor, like a life preserver, the anchor in the electrons, grounding yourself to the energy and the living spirit of Gaia in Mother Earth. So when you already know in your mind, because the picture is there, you're already on the ground. In other words, you've already done it. That's future mode. That's the future self that knows that it's already experienced what it's going to go do in play mode. So the anchor, okay, that you're going to use, which is through the heart, which is to 0 point, okay, which means that's a single point from which all love and light come, in which we all experience eternity together in living spirit. Because the rate of speed in which we experience who we are and all that light is like running a track meet with ourselves to keep attracting more of what we are, which is more of what love is. We are attracting the light. Our magnets are that powerful. So when we put that anchor into the 0 point, so we are what we know as 0 point. There is no time. There's only love. There's only light. That's who we are in living spirit that lives in that light. That's the anchor. That's the life preserver. The life preserver is self-knowledge. It's in knowing that. When you know that and you are that, everything else is easy, which means you're living in now time. So now when you're experiencing this dimension, you can already experience what the future is because you're already experiencing it in your mind. That's a built-in looking glass. The past's already gone. The future's not here yet. All you got is right now. So now that you're going to do something in incremental play mode, which is each step that you take in lower density or heavier density, okay? I've got to put the anchor in place, which is my life preserver, which is going to be, in this case, I'm going straight down a sheer cliff. I forget how many feet Capitan is, but it's quite a distance. There are those that climb it up as rock climbers, those that rappel down the side of it. And so you want that anchor to make sure that you do not lose your anchor. Otherwise, hey, if there is any risk, perception, is that anchor going to hold me? If there's any fear, then there's a possibility that the anchor won't hold you. Because guess who is the one who's responsible for the anchor that isn't going to hold itself? Us. We're living in fear that something might happen and we're going to fall. Oh no. We created the event that causes us to fall if we believe that's going to happen. So now we're into belief systems. So the anchor is 0 point. And when you are 0 point, that means that the energy that you are, that you're always giving away because you're attracting more of what you are, that's free energy. You just expanded the amount of everything that you're aware of that is in all that light, which is what love is in living spirit. Because that's the energy we use to celebrate our lives. So we've already done this. Well, let's go do something else. And then I can write a story about how I rappelled down the cliff of El Capitan. Okay. Inserting movie clips, pulling out part of the movie. I don't want to get into timelines, how we can reinsert certain events into a timeline, collapsing timelines and all that. That's a subject for another day. But there were two things that I wanted to cover in this one today because I just became aware of them. By the way, that was Lori Ladd. You'll see she put that up today, and you'll see how the consciousness, the communication speed in which we're sharing information that essentially means the same truth, speeding up. Because go look at the timestamp when I put the life preserver and the anchor in El Capitan, and what Lori Ladd is doing on her YouTube channel about the life preserver analogy. It's the same thing. Da 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 da. You gotta love it. Okay? So anyway, two things that I wanted to cover in this short little blurb is belief systems. What you believe is true, okay, is always going to be up to your free will. And what I call being what a child is, because, that's my spirit, okay, which means even though this thing is getting older, okay, the spirit that I was when I came into this is not any different than it's timeless, okay? So I'll start with being a child, okay, because I love to play with children, okay, because I'm a child, okay, because I love. Think about being a child, and what do you remember about being a child? You were in big-time learning mode. You were in discovery mode. Wow, I'm learning about this, I'm learning about this, I'm learning about this. What's this, what's that, what's this, what's that? Whoa, I'm excited, I'm in learning mode. That's called magic mode. Child psychologists call the age between 1 and 6 magic mode. Now, a sidebar to that is they're really mimicking. They're writing into memory what it is that they're experiencing. And then that becomes the future upon which they will experience, if they're operating off that memory, what they experience in now time, which will be future, proves past programming. Unless what that child is experiencing is what love is in a timeless state. Now that child is free to keep on experiencing whatever it wants to experience because it has the power of its imagination and creativity to realize that none of its energy is being held captive. Now they're allowed to use their imagination to experience the power of their magic. That's the power of their childhood. That's the power of their spirit because it's in purity. That's why the innocence of a child is so valuable. Right? That's why they love to feed on children. It's the purity of their energy, the purity of that light. Okay? That's magic mode. They can't do that. They can't generate that kind of power, which is the infinite creative imagination that a child has to discover things, which is why a true navigator in the cosmos, a true Star Trekker, is running on love energy. Okay? Because we don't fear anything. We don't fear something we haven't discovered yet because the energy that we're using to be who we are is what love is. That's a powerful magnetic shield. That's self-protection without even having to think about it. But it's also the nature of the energy that we bring to wherever we go in the cosmos, which is what love is, which means we're eternal living spirit already. That's what allows us to know we're bulletproof. Because we're not living in any fear of anything. Because love is the absence of fear. That's what gives us so much energy. Particularly when it's lit with an infinite furnace. Because you're running with so much fire that's burning that light hot. So for me, for example, I love to be in nature where all the birds, everything that's out there that's living and alive, like trees, grass, everything that's living. So I love to be around children because I see beings that I've never met in the cosmos as playmates. The same way that a child, who are you? A different color hair, a different size. Oh, you're a little boy, you're a little girl. Where are you from? Hey, you want to go play? Children are excited to meet other children. Hey, you want to go play? Playing is fun. The cosmos is supposed to be fun, the way that children experience the discovery of realizing how much energy they have to discover and be playmates. That's why I hang out a lot of times when I want to just be free to experience the energy of all that, is I go to family parks where there's a ton of mothers with their children. That becomes a frame of reference. So I never grew up. I didn't want to allow what I was as a child to be stripped out of me and end up becoming an energy slave because now I'm an adult. I got to be serious about the way I live my life now. I'm not a child anymore. That spirit and all that energy in that discovery mode, no, I jumped into a pre-formatted job. Okay, I've been fully programmed in memory to run what it is they presented to me, that I now give the energy to experience who they are, not who I am. Man, I lost my childhood. I'm no longer that creative imagination discovery mode child that's got so much energy to discover and be what it is that I am, that's free to be what I am. That means that their minds were being held captive as they grew up. We've already got a place for you. So that's childhood. I see everything in the cosmos of beings I've never met as future playmates. That means the cosmos becomes exciting to us the same way it is with a child. That's the way it is when you're living through your heart with so much powerful energy. So I'll fast forward to, I got a little blurb from a gal who's a friend of mine on Facebook. She sent it in Messenger, which was a link to a video called The Secret God. Oh, it's secret. Where is it? Is it behind another curtain like the Wizard of Oz? Show yourself. Who are you? Let me measure you with how much love you have. That's how we measure, don't we? We measure based on how much light you're running, which is how much love you're running on. So apparently this is a secret God. So what does a God mean to everybody that's been programmed? A male. Oh, a male. Okay, a male created the universe. Is that how it works? Well, that sort of works ass backwards when I think about who my mother is. Particularly when you realize, and I figure everybody knows this, because this is like what I call basic logic. Now, as a child, we used to call it common sense. In other words, it's self-evident. Okay? I don't need anybody else to come along and tell me and say, this is how it is. Oh, really? According to who? You? I think I'll decide for myself what's true and not true, because you're living your life and you believe what you want to believe, and then there's my belief system. So please, do not insult me. I do have intelligence, okay? I have spirit. I know what the truth is. The truth is what love is. And the first sound vibration that I ever got as a soul came from a goddess. When a soul comes into the heart chakra, into a biological female, that soul, the very first sound vibration that soul experiences is from its mother. Now that's backed up by a million other things that I could describe to you that reinforce that truth. Aside from the fact that the sine wave on this planet that runs across the equator comes from a female, a goddess. She's a teacher in this classroom. It's her energy I'm thriving on. So I know I'm thriving on goddess energy. She's the one who gave me this heart to love everything in the universe with. Because that's how much light I can access through there, including the light which is the love that I use to experience and be playmates with everybody. So it becomes an insult to my intelligence, my creative intelligence, to try and tell me, okay, that it was a male in which I came out of. So they say, oh, but it works the other way. Creation really comes out of a male. Well, a male provides the seed, which is data. So then the female mitochondria grabs that data. Now that data becomes a part of another database. So now the female mitochondria can look through all of its data and say, okay, how intelligent am I? How creative am I? Because what comes out of her is going to be the ultimate sum of the data that is being chosen, in which the avatar was created, in which the soul that came into the heart chakra is going to be what that woman looks at when it comes out of her, which is data. The data that was used to create the communication platform that soul is going to use to communicate to everybody else. So now it's in a learning environment. So how does it know what to believe? Well, it starts with what it is. It's soul. The core frequency vibration of that unit that is operating the avatar that it's now going to use to communicate what it is in energy. So now we're getting into energy identities. So we have a receiver, antennas. So now we're getting the communication transmissions, which is a signal that I now become aware of who that is. Which means you could be looking like you're human, but I know better than that. Because I'm experiencing the energy that is inside that. Okay? Which means you can't hide from us. You can't mask your identity. Using an overlay. We can see through all that. We absorb all the energy, and because of that, that allows us to time vector all that energy based on the frequency that we're reading. So we become aware of that. Because the antennas that we have are that finely tuned with a stereo receiver. It's like a dial-in unit, like the way that a Bearcat scanner works. It's got an antenna. It's picking up signals, okay? And then you can see, so you can set it. So in other words, it's able to receive all the signals that represent all the communications that it's picking up to its antenna. So when you're running a high-grade unit like one of her avatars as an analog consciousness unit, then it means, guess what? We're picking up everything. So what we do is filter what the communications are doing. So when you are running in a memory-driven sort of dimension, like this one is as a classroom, what do? We filter content. So when I get all these pop-ups on this phone, stay well informed. They always use the English language as if it's some sort of authority trying to tell you what the fuck you got to do. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Love is a law. That allows you to be free to believe and choose how you want to experience what you want to experience based on what it is that you are. So when I got that particular link to that video, again, it's an insult. It's not only an insult to me, but it's an insult to the girl on the planet. Because the first thing that it tells me is that they don't want you to connect and have a spiritual communication relationship with the living spirit that is in this planet. Because once that happens, they lose you. Now you got a relationship with a powerful spirit. Now you begin to realize you have a communication relationship with a teacher in this planet. Now you really begin to learn how to attract more light, which is to raise your speed. Instead, they want to keep you in a time memory module program. They don't want to lose you. They're scared to death because they're fear-based beings. They don't operate on a love frequency. So the only way they can capture your energy is to get you to believe in what they tell you. So if you don't know any better, because you don't know who you are to begin with, and what energy is, which is your energy identity. So this becomes like mass confusion, mass chaos. It's like, wow, these people don't even know who they are to begin with, do they? No, they don't. Karen Ann McDonald is exactly right when she said, most of the people on this planet can't even tell you who their first mother is. They know zero about their genetics, don't know anything about their bloodline. When you process all the data on why that is, how that happened, okay? And Patty does one of the best jobs in the world of trying to break all that down so that we can raise the level of knowledge, which means we're raising the level of awareness of how all this thing happened. And you begin to realize what the truth is because she will fill in all the blanks. She does an excellent job of that. I try and do my part simply by sharing with others how it is I experience me. And I don't allow anybody to bullshit me. Okay? Because I know better. I have a relationship with the living spirit in this planet. So that's how it is. Okay? It's just like, God, they're lost. It's sad. It's actually very painful because it means that they're not able to have a relationship with a beautiful goddess to experience her energy and experience nature here in the way in which the native Indians do with so much love in their heart. And they begin to realize how powerful they already are in their own right. So in other words, whatever God and whatever goddess they can perceive of, okay, as what makes all this happen is already within them. So, I know this because I collected an enormous amount of data or information or what have you. How much information can you hold in your head at one time? How much information is out there in the cosmos that you can experience? It's infinite, ain't it? Well, you can't hold that much information in your head at one time, can you? As Patty said, with time, it'd probably explode with that amount of energy. So it's just like you're experiencing yourself with the amount of data that you're processing at any one given moment. Because that's what you're aware of in that moment. So I realize, like with me, for example, I'm accessing data that I become aware of that is in past, present, and future. So you're filtering it as you go. So you become aware of all these things. So you are the chooser of the data that you want to use or the energy that you want to use to experience who you are. So that's like delete this, delete this, delete this. Oh, but I got to hold on to this because it's necessary for me to be able to use that between now and the future. Then I'll get rid of it later. Because you sort of realize the timeline that you're on and why you're on the timeline that you are, okay, for all of the above, which is to restore the light in the planet. Okay, that is the truth. Just like we're restoring the light in this galaxy. We're restoring all the light that's been lost in this universe, as a matter of fact. Okay? I got a communication about that when I was on the Big Island a couple years ago. I can share that another time because that's another big subject. Just things you become aware of, and you know that the communication that you're getting, or the time at which it becomes known by you at the time, you know whether it's true or not. And it's easy to know that. Because you know the source of the information from which you're getting it from. Okay? So anyway, I'll leave you with all that to think about, if you choose to think about it. That's up to you. That's your free will, just like it's my free will to communicate it. But I thought it was fascinating to see Lori Ladd's video today, and I'm going, that a girl, we're exchanging and we're moving up, which means the amount of information that we're sharing and the speed at which we're sharing it to raise it, and people are becoming more aware. This is exactly how it works. Raising the consciousness, which means the speed in which we're able to communicate that information, people become more aware. That means their state of consciousness and the amount of energy that you're using and the speed in which you're becoming aware, the energy is speeding up. And this is good and this is beautiful to know. Thanks a lot and have a great day. Bye now. Love you all.